Hi everybody, my name is Casey. Welcome to my channel for those of you who are new, and welcome back to those who have been here before. We talked before about parts of the Great American Songbook, but who are the key players? Let's go ahead and take a deeper look. I know every time I look at this topic, it may be 100 years old, but I feel like there's always something new to uncover, and that's really exciting. So let's take a look into an influential composer of the Great American Songbook, George Gershwin. For those of you who are new to my channel or haven't seen my prior content around the Great American Songbook, ultimately, this is a period of time from the early to mid 1900s until potentially as late as the early 1960s, full of influential American pop and jazz standards. It's important to note that despite it being called the Great American Songbook, it's not an actual songbook. It's just describing an era of music, specifically an era known for timeless melodies, memorable lyrics, and enduring cultural relevance or influence. So first up, we have George Gershwin. There is not a name more synonymous with the Great American Songbook in my brain than George Gershwin. Well, excepting maybe Cole Porter. George Gershwin was born in 1898 and died at 38 years old in 1937. Again, he's one of the first names I think of when I think of the Great American Songbook. He wrote countless pieces that span from popular to classical to jazz. Ultimately, I kind of think of him like Pat Benatar in a way, except a composer variety. So, like Pat Benatar, Gershwin's roots are in classical music, but ultimately he has a focus on popular music of the time for the bulk of his career, just like how Pat Benatar was classically trained, but was popular for singing hard rock in the 1980s. Gershwin studied both classical and popular music and wrote both. One of Gershwin's best known works is Porgy and Bess. This was a 1935 American opera that told a story about Black experiences in America. It is important, though, to note that the specific experiences portrayed are often considered to be incredibly controversial, both now and at the time. At the time of release, it was considered too progressive to be performed in most opera houses and theaters due to Gershwin's insistence that no white actors be allowed to portray these characters in blackface, but instead stipulated that in order to put on this opera, all performers must be actually Black, which was completely revolutionary for the time, at a time with massive segregation, where unfortunately blackface was the norm. It is also, though, important to note that this opera continues to be controversial today for other reasons. But that would require a separate video for better discussion, since, again, it's a really complicated issue. Gershwin, like I mentioned before, had a large influence on the Great American Songbook. He's one of the first names I think of when I think of the songbook. He's like an OG influencer for music in the early 1900s, especially for new genres at the time like ragtime and jazz. He was, again, incredibly innovative and was able to not only popularize jazz and ragtime, but was able to blend them with his classical roots to be able to really have this interesting, unique sound. Ultimately, many of his songs are still sung and performed today, and again, had a lasting impact like many songs in the songbook. When discussing any composer, it's always relevant to mention one of their first works or their first major published work. So, when he was 15, he started as a song plugger in Tin Pan Alley and began composing music as well. His first published song was When You Want 'Em, You Can't Get 'Em, published in 1916. As for his personal life, he was born to Russian Jewish immigrants and demonstrated an early aptitude for playing music by ear. Ultimately, his family helped him receive a formal music education, but he dropped out to start his career at 15. He was never married and unfortunately died of a brain tumor at the young age of 38 years old. Of course, one of my personal passions with the Great American Songbook is something I refer to as the Great Forgotten Songbook. So it's the songs by these same composers and artists that are maybe less well known. So one example from George Gershwin that I personally am a little too obsessed with is called Tum On and Tiss Me. I've had the great fortune of being able to sing this multiple times, and it is so much fun, I swear. Um, it's simple, it's innocent, it's reminiscent of some more popular songs he did as well, like Do It Again, for instance. But ultimately, Tum On and Tiss Me holds a special place in my heart. It's just one of my very favorite songs by him. Ultimately, George Gershwin was a composer who pushed boundaries of what music could be by combining genres and helping to promote new styles of music. Classics like Summertime, I Got Rhythm, and Embraceable You have been covered again and again by countless artists through the years, contributing to his enduring influence. Some works have even been repurposed into completely different musicals, shows, etc. after his death. For example, despite the fact that he died in the 1930s, in 1992, there was a brand new musical created from his existing works called Crazy for You. In 2001, there was also George Gershwin Alone, which comprised of many of his works that had been written during his lifetime and kind of followed a story about George Gershwin's life. There were other numerous musical reviews dedicated to works only by George Gershwin. And his works have also been included in countless concerts and other works not solely dedicated to him, but it's still relevant that his work continues to endure in other performances and venues. Thank you so much for watching this video about George Gershwin. I hope that you found it as interesting as I did. I know he is one of my very favorite composers from the Great American Songbook. I have such a blast listening to his work and studying his life. If you also enjoy hearing about the Great American Songbook, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. I usually kind of rotate through and talk about the Great American Songbook, the Great Forgotten Songbook, style, and my own works that I write and perform as well, or covers, all that fun stuff. Passion for music, you get it. Anyways, thank you again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.